Welcome back to another video on Koseki or Japanese family registers. It's been quite a while since I was able to make a YouTube video. I have a new background space which will hopefully have some decorations soon, but I'm really looking forward to sharing today's topic with you. Whether you have Japanese ancestry and you're hoping to learn more about your family history, or you're simply curious about Japanese family registers, Koseki, this video is for you. We'll be talking in depth about one type of koseki that no one is allowed to see or access. It's called the Jinshin Koseki. They were created in the early Meiji period, they helped shape the modern koseki system, and they contain personal and social information about the people living in Japan at the time. We'll talk about what the Jinshin Koseki actually were, how they came to exist, why they became controversial, why they were sealed away, and whether anyone can still access them today. If you'd like some more general information on koseki and what they are, please check out this video first, or if you're curious about the different types of koseki that exist, I went in depth on that topic on this video here. So please consider checking those two out if today's topic is perhaps a little bit more detailed than what you're looking for. After you know the basics of koseki, come back to this one and learn about the Jinshin Koseki because there isn't really a lot of information about it in English. Hi, my name is Sachi. I'm a bilingual and bicultural Japanese teacher and translator. I help people of Japanese ancestry request and translate koseki to help them learn about their family history or apply for visas. I also teach pronunciation, pitch accent, and formal Japanese. But more about how I can help you a little bit later. こんにちは。心コミュニケーションズのサチです。今回の動画では人身戸籍はなぜそう呼ばれているのかや人身戸籍の問題点、事件などについて英語でご紹介します。And with that, let's jump in. First, what is a 人身戸籍? The 人身戸籍were the first modern nationwide family registers created in Japan. The Family Register Law, or Koseki-ho, was enacted in 1871, which was Meiji Year 4, shortly after the Meiji Restoration. And it came into effect the following year in 1872, or Meiji Year 5. The zodiac sign for 1872 was the water monkey, which is written using these kanji. It can be read either Mizunoe Saru or Jinshin, which is where the name Jinshin Koseki comes from. Today, when people hear the word koseki, they usually imagine documents used to record major life events like births, adoptions, marriages, deaths, and family relationships. But the Jinshin Koseki was much more than that. At the time, Japan was rapidly trying to modernize and centralize following the end of the Edo period. The government needed a way to manage the national population in a standardized way throughout the country. These records functioned not only as family registries, but also somewhat like population records, residency records, and status records all combined into one. They recorded information like names, ages, relationships, occupations, addresses, and in some cases, even things like family temples, land information, or criminal records. Some records reportedly even included information about cattle and horses owned by the family members. Compared to modern ideas of privacy, the amount of information recorded was a lot. Before this system existed, Japan used systems like Shumon Nimbetsu Aratamecho, which were religious affiliation and population registers used during the Edo period. In many ways, the Jinshin Koseki is the foundation of the modern Koseki system we still use today. Something else that made the Jinshin Koseki unique was that they recorded social status. At the time, Japanese society was transitioning away from the older class structures of the Edo period. The Jinshin Koseki included classifications like Kozoku for the imperial family, Kazoku for nobility, Shizoku for former samurai class, and Heimin, who were commoners. There were also separate classifications in some areas for monks, nuns, former Shinto priests, and other groups. Around the same time, Japan officially abolished the outcast social classes known as eta and hinin. These groups of people are now often discussed under the broader term burakumin, referring to communities that experienced historical discrimination. Although the law officially changed their status to commoner, some local governments still added labels like shinheimin, meaning new commoner, motoeta, meaning former eta, or motohinin, meaning former hinin, into these new records. And this became one of the biggest long-term problems with this koseki. On that note, I wanted to mention that some people seem to think that all Jinshin Koseki clearly labeled burakumin ancestry across all of Japan. Historians and researchers have pointed out that this wasn't universally the case, and that many records simply listed people as heimin or commoner. Still, because there was no fully standardized format nationwide, some local offices included information that others did not. And once information like this exists in official records, it can continue to affect families long-term after the legal status system itself has been abolished. The Jinshin Koseki also had a number of other problems. Although the government intended to standardize records across the country, there was initially no strict nationwide format. Some records were extremely detailed, while others were relatively simple. The records were handwritten, managed locally, and updated manually. And although these were supposed to be revised every 6 years, this often didn't happen consistently. Over time, newer versions of the koseki replaced the Jinshin Koseki, and the next major version came into play on Meiji Year 19, or 1886. If you've watched my other videos on koseki, you may remember that the Meiji Year 19 koseki are the oldest family registers that people can access today. That's because the Jinshin Koseki was eventually sealed off. So, what happened? In 1968, there was an incident in which some people attempted to use the Jinshin Koseki to investigate whether certain individuals and families had burakumin backgrounds. The records were being used as a tool for discrimination. Following this incident, the Ministry of Justice prohibited public viewing of the Jinshin Koseki. The records were gathered, sealed, and placed into strict storage. Even today, they are not publicly accessible, and legally speaking, they are treated differently from all other types of koseki. But before we move on, I wanted to add a quick note relating to koseki being publicly accessible. Until the Family Registration Act was revised in 1976, koseki were available to anyone because the legal function of a koseki was prioritized over the protection of personal information. Even today, with strict rules on who can access these documents, there are still cases of professionals taking advantage of their position and claiming to require copies of somebody's koseki. There were also later incidents that brought attention back to these records. In 2017, a Jinshin Koseki was put up for auction on Yahoo Auctions. The authenticity of this document was unclear, and ultimately no transaction occurred because the seller ended up canceling the listing, but it did gather attention because of the growing awareness of protecting personal information. Just 2 years later, in 2019, documents believed to be Jinshin Koseki appeared again on Yahoo Auctions in Japan. It was listed as a Meiji family register and received about 90 bids before selling for 133,000 yen. Yahoo determined it was in violation of their policies and canceled the winning bid. The seller apparently claimed ignorance about the Jinshin Koseki, and the Shizuoka Legal Affairs Bureau was able to recover the document for free. These incidents drew a lot of attention for the reasons we've talked about in this video, and the Jinshin Koseki are now considered to be extremely sensitive historical documents. So, can anyone view the Jinshin Koseki today? For practical purposes, the answer is no. Even direct descendants cannot obtain copies. Requests to view them are repeatedly denied and rejected due to privacy and human rights concerns. Instead, the oldest koseki that people can usually access today are the Meiji 19 or 1886 type of koseki. This means that as long as a person was alive in 1886, you'll be able to learn about them. As a quick reference point, the earliest birth date I have seen on a koseki is 1823. And if you are researching your family history through koseki, this is often as far back as the paper trail goes. That said, some families may still encounter references to Jinshin Koseki during their research. A number of my own clients have received notices from offices in Japan explaining that a requested record could not be released because it was classified as a Jinshin Koseki. So while most people will never see these records directly, they still continue to shape conversations around Japanese genealogy, privacy, discrimination, and history today. And with that, now you know about the forbidden koseki, the Jinshin Koseki, one of the most historically important and controversial types of koseki in Japan. To watch more videos about koseki, please check out my playlist here. You can download my free koseki guide and join my newsletter for more content relating to Japanese language, genealogy, and family history, all in the description down below. I'm holding my next online koseki workshop, which is free, on Saturday, June 6th, 2026. So if you'd like to learn about that, you'll find the link for that below as well. And if you'd like to inquire about working with me to request or translate your family's koseki, feel free to reach out to me through my website. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it, leaving a comment, and subscribing to the channel for more videos on Japanese language learning and koseki. I'm really hoping to be able to get back into making regular YouTube videos because I do miss it. So with that, 最後までご視聴いただきありがとうございました。Thanks so much for watching until the end, and see you next time!